Hey guys, how are we all doing today? Today we'll be reviewing Spider-Man A No Way Home. Or is it No Way Home? I don't even know the fucking title and I'm reviewing it. I have just came back from the cinema, I have still got my jeans on, and this movie is probably the most anticipated movie of the year. Let's be honest, I can't think of any other movie really. And definitely my top three most anticipated movies of the year, and did the movie deliver? Absolutely. So, this movie promised a lot, bringing back all these big characters from the previous iterations of Spider-Man and trying to create a movie. Because let's be honest, this is still Tom Holland's Spider-Man movie. It's nothing else. It's about him, and it carries on from the previous movie when the Mysterio revealed the identity of Spider-Man to everyone. Everyone and their fucking mothers and fathers knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Becomes really famous. Some people fucking hate him. Some people love him. People still see him as a superhero. People don't. When he goes into the high school, everyone's like taking photos of him. Like, this is what celebrities experience. And there's a great line that he says to MJ. He's like, I'm famous but still poor, but yeah, there's helicopters flying around. It's taking a massive toll on his friends, his family, and J. Jonah Jameson. And I do like the updates of him being recorded in some like weird cheap looking set or whatever. I don't know where the hell I didn't pay much attention to it. And there's a green screen, and it's a nice update to what we had before in the Sam Raimi trilogy. And cause we didn't really we never had that J. Jonah Jameson element in the Andrew Garfield movies. I don't, it's a bit strange they didn't really try to do that in those movies, but hey, it is what it is. Ultimately, we all see in the trailer, we see that the fact that he goes to Doctor Strange and tries to fix it, make sure no one knows about Spider-Man. And this is the one thing I get it. Peter Parker, he's young, he's naive, he's a bit stupid about certain things, and and he fucks up the spell by basically saying, okay, oh, make sure MJ still knows, make sure Aunt May still knows. I feel like he would have told Doctor Strange beforehand, but I guess that's more like a petty thing. But you wouldn't have a movie if that didn't happen, so it is what it is. And I do love the little trope of like, he calls him Sir, he's like, no, call me, Stephen. We went to space and did all this, and when he calls him yes, Stephen, he's like, oh, that's weird, don't do that. Here comes Doc Ock, and his entrance. Oh, his entrance was glorious. I was like this in the cinema. I was like just doing this, but yeah, and his line when he says "Hello, Peter," it gave me goosebumps. And if he said "brilliant but lazy," I probably would have creamed everywhere. And I am a bit upset they revealed that part of it in the trailer, but man, it was such a fun sequence to watch. At the end of the second one, there is redemption at the end. He realizes the error of his ways, and he tries to save the city at the end of it, and he dies. He ultimately dies in the process. And in this one, he's vengeful, angry, and he's lashing out all the time. And when they finally fix the situation behind his neck, he becomes the likable Doc that we all know and love, and the brilliant but lazy Doc, like he says to Peter. And love when he interacts with Norman as well, and when he says Norman when he sees him on the bridge. By the way, this is a spoiler review, just to let you guys know. But when he fucking appears, when we see him in his full costume, or it's not really costume, the armor, I guess, that he wore in the first movie, I had goosebumps, man. It was on point. But the downside is he got rid of it. He destroyed it because he lashed out when he was actually Norman. He was like, "Fuck this." But then he starts to wear this hoodie thing throughout the rest of the movie, and I don't know. I just kind of wish he wore that. And when he goes against the free Spider-Man. Okay, they both appear in the movie. Thank God, that's the question. Okay, they appear in the movie. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire appear in the movie, and I got a little bit emotional. I did, seeing these three together. And there's a funny scene when, by the way, I'm all over the place with the review. Sorry, but Andrew Garfield, when he says to Toby and Tom, he's like, "I love you guys," and he's like, "Thank you." I love their vibe. I would love to see a full-on movie of all these guys together, man. And Andrew still looks like he's the Spider, the Peter Parker from the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. That was, to be fair, it wasn't that well. It was nearly 10 years. It's nearly 10 years ago now. But Toby, you can tell he's got a bit older. But hey, it's great to see him together. And it turns out Ned was able to. He's got the magic. He's got the magic. And he opened a portal, and they appeared. And I was saying to myself, okay, is that Pete? That's not Tom Holland. He looks a bit tall. Then there he is, Andrew Garfield, and the audience erupted. And oh boy, it was fun to fucking watch. And there were some good comedic moments when MJ's like, I don't believe. Are you actually Spider-Man? And he's like, yes. He's like, well, do something then. And he tries. She makes him crawl on the wall, get rid of the cobwebs, and then Toby appears, and him and Andrew have like a bit of a sling off, and everything you wanted from those three, we get it. And I just love how Garfield in the interview was like, no, I'm not in the movie. That's why he's an actor. He had me believing for a second there. And you can tell both of them had fun being back after all these years, and being back on screen and passing the torch to Tom. And Tom in this movie, yeah, you got these two Spider-Man back in this movie. You got all these villains. Does he get overshadowed? No. Tom Holland in this movie, probably his best performance out of all the Spider-Man movies that he's done. He is a terrific actor, and he has to do a lot of demanding emotional scenes. And there is one scene, spoiler here, when Aunt May gets killed, is killed by the Green Goblin, and it is a very powerful scene, and you absolutely feel devastated by it and his performance. And then a scene later, after we find out we get Andrew and Toby, I like how they placed that scene, by the way. We have this downbeat scene with Aunt May, and then in the next scene we see the return of the two OG Spider-Men, and then we find out. Now we get the scene of Tom just crying his eyes out, and he was, it had me feeling sad. It was a very powerful scene and top-notch performance by Tom Holland, man. And he goes on a fucking revenge tour. He wants to decimate Green Goblin, and he becomes. This is the first time, in my opinion, he becomes the man, if you get what I'm saying. Because in the first two, I'm like, you get the idea, he's still a little teenage kid, getting used to being Spider-Man. But in this, you killed Aunt May, I'm gonna beat your ass, mate. And I had that impression, 100%. And that leads me to one problem with Tom Holland's character. The performance was great. I know he's young and naive, but there was a moment in the middle of the movie, they have all the villains locked up. And Norman is his true form. He's being Norman, he's being nice and being this nice guy and trying to build a rapport with Tom Holland's Peter. And Doctor Strange is about to do it, about to get rid of him. And even though most of them die except from Flip Marko, I think it's just Flip Marko who's not dead. Tom Holland feels bad. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna find a way to cure him. I don't want to have him be sent to their world just to die. And I feel like, dudes, come on. Especially after all the shit he's been through, I'm like, come on. He's still this naive approach, but still, it just had me scratching my head in the middle of it, like, oh, really? Come on. But that's what causes the death of Aunt May and all the villains in this movie. It's fun seeing them, and I had the fear of maybe one of them being overshadowed, and that was certainly the case for his name's Rhys Ifans, who plays the Lizard, Kurt Connors, and Flint Marko, portrayed by Thomas Hayden Church, I believe. These two were very overshadowed. They didn't really get much in this movie. They say some lines, and they do appear in the background a lot. They do get overshadowed by Doc Ock, Green Goblin, and Electro. That's a fact in my opinion. I had a feeling that was going to happen when I was watching the trailer, and I do like the touch of Sandman at first is helping Peter because of their last conversation they had in Spider-Man 3, and when we do get Toby in the movie, and At first, he had his normal this normal. Even Andrew Garfield was laughing at his clothes. Like, you got this youth pastor clothes on. Like, are you gonna suit up, bruh? And he does. And oh my god, it was like watching the first three all over again. Jesus. And I don't know about you guys if you guys noticed this, but the score of the movie, did they mix all three iterations of Spider-Man, the music from all three iterations? Like, were they mixing it together? I don't know. I didn't really notice, but there was one moment when I did. I was like, huh? Was that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man? What the fuck? But when Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man sees Sandman, Philip Marco, and there's that moment there where they have that face-to-face, you know. I wish he had more of a continuation from that scene in Spider-Man 3, where he forgives him and all that, but it was still a nice touch. I nearly, you know, I had tears a little bit. Andrew Garfield is he's such a good actor. The theory that everyone saw coming, everyone was predicting, the part of the trailer when MJ is falling down, and we said, who's going to catch her? It's going to be Andrew Garfield. His redemption for not catching Gwen. And he did do that. And there's a scene, and when he does catch her, he's crying. He's upset because he's thinking about, okay, I catched her, but I wasn't able to catch Gwen. And it was so fucking sad. That got to me really badly. I'm like, oh, God. But the main villain of the movie is the Green Goblin. 100%. And it is great to hear that. Spider-Man, yeah. You know, and there is one moment, you know, I am somewhat of a scientist myself. He does say that line. He certainly does. You can tell he's having fun portraying this character after all these years, and it was fun watching him interact with Doc Ock as well, you know, because they know of each other, but they never crossed heads, obviously, because he was the villain in the sequel. But the only solution is making sure no one knows who Peter Parker is. No one even knows who he is. There'll be no more memories of Peter Parker. Aunt May's dead, but when it comes to his best friend and MJ, they will completely forget about Peter Parker. And he makes that sacrifice just to ultimately save everyone. And that was also a very touching, dramatic moment. And when Tom Holland said in an interview, this is a very serious movie mixed with some comedy, I see what he means. And this is another example of that. And when he says his goodbyes, and there's a beautiful scene at the end, near the end, where some time has passed, it's snowing. I love when there's snow in a movie, by the way, I love it. And they're in the coffee shop, he sees his best friend there, and he sees MJ, and they have no idea who he is. And it's such a sad but not sad scene. It's such a touching scene, I thought it was, and how it was acted by all three in that scene. It was beautiful, man. It was a beautiful scene. And he's like, hey, I'm Peter Parker, can I have some coffee? And she's like, okay, Peter Parker, there's some coffee for you, okay? And I have obviously the post-credit scene, you know, if you saw Venom, you know what the post-credit scene to this is pretty much going to be. It's, you know, and that'll be the obvious continuation with this franchise, bringing Venom, Tom Hardy's Venom, which is perfect. Oh my god, everyone knows the shot if you've seen the movie. All three of them in one shot with the mask, all suited up, ready to kick some ass, and that should be on a fucking poster. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. All in all, it lives up to the expectations, those massive, gigantic expectations. Because I was worried for this movie because everyone and their mother were expecting great things, and there was so many scenes with Toby and Andrew. Like, I was expecting to see him towards the end, but there was so many scenes. They get to work together, they interact with other characters, and they suit up together. They have small talk before the battle ensues, and this is like the ultimate Spider-Man movie. It really is. It feels like the end game of Spider-Man movies, because you got all the elements from all the previous movies, and it's great. And the scene where Tom Holland's breaking down, and he sees the other two Spider-Man for the first time, and they talk about Uncle Ben, Gwen, and great power comes with great responsibility, and yes, there's fan service. Okay, if that's the only criticism you can come up with for this movie, there's got fan service, then I'm sorry, that's weak. It really is. I'm a fan. Please serve me. That's my mindset, man. And I was certainly served, and I was certainly happy watching this movie. And that was my review of Spider-Man No Way Home. And if you guys just review, and please drop a like, subscribe, and share. I do reaction videos and maybe more movie reviews. I have done rankings of worst to best of particular movie franchises, basically movie-related content on this channel. If you're interested, subscribe, man. Subscribe, join, man. And I'll see you guys next time, and have a good day.